Okay, so remember here you need to we talk about the KRAS signal and the TGF beta signaling, and those two are involved in proliferation and in invasion and in multiple functions. But these are the ones that are related to cancer. Here, the JNK pathway is involved in the opposite process that generally is involved in the signal to generate apoptosis in the death signal. Now we're going to talk about integrins, that are surface receptors that interact with the extracellular membrane. So here you have the extracellular space, here you have inside of the cell, and here you will have all these extracellular membrane, and from there the integrin heterodimer. Why heterodimer? Because there are two proteins, yeah, and they are different. One is alpha and the other one beta. Beta is going to interact with the nucleus by a complex of proteins. So this is a very important signal that it has been involved in multiple types of cancer. So in the following slides, I'm going to talk a little bit more of this in detail. Okay, so we're going to talk about the integrin signaling. To talk about the integrin signaling, again, here you have the extracellular matrix. Here you have the two heterodimers, alpha and beta, and here you have the integrins. However, this is not the only way. It's not only the integrins, the one in charge of the signaling. Is an entire multi-complex protein. So here you see many proteins involved into that, yeah, that attach to the cytoskeleton and then it attached to the nucleus. In other words, you don't need to remember every single protein, but I just want that you remember that the integrins are just a group of proteins that are in the membrane that connect to the extracellular membrane, to the intracellular membrane, to the cytoplasm, to the cytoplasmic side, and all this structure is called focal adhesion contacts or focal contacts. And why this is important? Because it has been found that when you don't have the proper extracellular membrane, yeah, or the integrins are not working, this can affect the gene expression, and we will see multiple cases in different research programs of different professors that this is the case, and cancer can appear. So again, cellular environment very important to produce cancer. Okay, so let's summarize all the things that I said to you. I told you that there was an integration between the integrin and the extracellular membrane, and all this has several functions. Yeah, for example, you can produce the organization of cytoskeleton. So in other words, it could be involved in migration. Do you remember the actin is in charge of the movement of the cells? It can be also involved in the fate of the cells. And here, if the extracellular membrane become too rigid or too soft, it can detect those changes. And this is in the research programs that we are going to see in the following videos. We will see that changing the extracellular membrane can also change the gene expression and can lead to cell proliferation. And again, these three processes that are always involved in cancer: adhesion, migration, and tissue invasion. Okay, so again, integrins are fundamental, and you will see that they are, for our current understanding of cancer, this will be one of the key components. Okay, now we're going to talk about the Wnt and Notch pathway. So we already talked about some pathways that produce proliferation, some of them that produce cell death, and we talk about the extracellular membrane. Here in the Wnt pathway, we're going to talk about a pathway that is involved. It's an ancient pathway that is involved in almost everything. So I remember that I was so impressed when this guy used to paint, and from nothing you can see so many mountains, and then he can create a forest, and then he create a different forest and a different mountain, and he was able to make everything. The Wnt pathway worked the same. You will not believe in how many pathways involved in how many things, and it creates almost everything. Yeah, is one of the ancient and evolutionary conserved pathways. Yeah, one of the most, and you will see it involving everything in developmental biology. If you wanted to take it, we talk a lot about that. So it's crucial in aspects like cell fate and determination in some group of cells. In other ones, it's involved in migration, in cell polarity. If you don't have the Wnt pathway, you will have bristles in opposite directions. In neural pattern, in the neural plate is important. In the organogenesis during embryonic development is involved in so many things. So of course, if there is a variation of this pathway, cancer can appear. Very quick. So the Wnt signaling pathway is derived from two. The name comes from studies in fruit flies and studies in mice. In fruit flies, the mutation was wingless, and in mouse, it was Int1. So when you fuse those two names, this is when the WNT pathway appeared. As there is so much variation and it's involved in so many things, we generally talk about three types of pathway. It could be more. So it can be the canonical WNT pathway. They could be the non-canonical, involving the cell polarity, that is involving how the bristles are located. And we talk about that in a little bit in the developmental biology, and we talk a little bit in the calcium pathway in cell biology. So let me show you again. I don't want to scare you. You don't have to memorize everything, all the pathway. I just want to show you that we have been able to characterize every single like a lot of the steps involved in the WNT pathway. So again, you have a ligand in number one. Yeah, you have a receptor in number two, the transduction of the signal, and then you have a change in gene expression. Yeah, same thing. The only thing that changed is the names. So in developmental biology, I will tell you that the extracellular signal is the WNT, that frizzle is the receptor, that the shovel, and there is a lot of proteins involved in the mechanism. Here you find what happened when it's inactive, yeah, and here what happen when the ligand appear and how all these proteins interact. In developmental biology, I will tell you all those things and how later uh, they can change the gene expression. Yeah. However, here I just want that you know again you find that you know that this beta catenin is very important, and we will talk about that in one of the following slides. And these pathways is very important. And if you're interested into going to medicine, you will have to study it, give it a quick look, and because it is very important and it's involved in many diseases. So I gave you a very quick summary of the Wnt pathway in the canonical. Here you see the non-canonical, the planar cell polarity, and the WNT calcium pathway. They use, for example, same receptor and some proteins, and they use other GTPases. And here you see now not only the cytoskeleton, but the other pathway, the JNK. Yeah, so important again involving so many things. And here you see involved to the endoplasmatic reticulum. We talk in cell biology that, but here the important is that you know there are three pathways, yeah, and we only talk about one. And later in cell biology and developmental biology, if you are interested, we will talk about all of those. And yes, and you don't need to memorize all these things. It's again all these series of events that take place during development.